The very best advantage. All the original tile has survived, the original surrounding the firebox and so forth. Of course, this would have been symmetrically placed when there was a hallway. There would have been exactly the same space on either side. The Victorians like to have nice symmetrical rooms. It's got a nice corner window though to sort of break the monotony of a regular square corner. This would have been probably the family parlor. Then the one on the other side, which is a little smaller, was probably the formal parlor where you would be ushered into and entertained by Mrs. Maddock when you came to visit.
Beautiful view of the right here with all of the roses and beautiful vegetation out there. Gorgeous.
When we go across the hallway into what would have been probably the more formal parlor. Again, we have a beautiful corner-sawn oak fireplace, mantel, original, again, columns, nice classical detailing, and too, the original, in this case, red tile has survived. Again, this placed on an angle, probably, well, two reasons. There's another fireplace immediately in back of it, which means they could share a chimney, but also made it a little more interesting than to have just been tucked on a wall flat somewhere. And probably the nicest area of this room is the area in the corner turret. Built-in window seats, wonderful comfortable cushions. I mean, this is a great place to sit in the morning, relax, enjoy a cup of coffee. Stafford's called this the morning room for that very reason. It's a room you would enjoy being in the morning when the sun is coming. Do you want to?
Have a cup of coffee?
It would be great. Just a real nice area, very comfortable and very inviting. I'm not sure that the oak floors are original to the house. They've been here a good long time, but the fact that the flooring runs through continuously, where there would have been a wall originally, makes me think that maybe at the time they remodeled the house and took out that partition wall, they probably put in the nice oak hardwood floors. Then the traffic flow quite nicely into the dining room. This is a beautiful fireplace. Again, granite, probably taken from the San Gabriel River. There was a huge quantity there, and many people went down to the river and just selected what they needed. It was at a time when there weren't millions of people going after things, so you could do that and not deplete the landscape. The mantel is nice Douglas fir, as is all the woodwork downstairs, nice straight grain in it. Interesting about this wood, it's from Oregon. And in the early days of this century, they didn't call it Douglas fir as we do now, they call it Oregon pine. And that was because fir in the eastern part of the United States had a very bad reputation as a construction wood, apparently. It warped easily and twisted. And they wanted to market this product, which really was a good material in the East. They thought, we'll never be able to sell it if we call it Douglas fir. So they called it Oregon pine. Here it is. No, it's good material. But as I say, they called it Oregon pine because they needed to disguise the fact that it really was a fir. Nice, again, built-in window seats across the end of this room. Interest with the diamond-shaped panes of the window, and then the entrance to the huge wraparound porch that's now enclosed as a sun porch.
What is this porch? I love this.
Somebody asked me earlier about the slope on the floor, and I explained that when it was open, of course, you would want to have the capability of the water running off in case there was a driving wind from the southwest.
I understand.
Yeah. The stonework, as you can see, it's native granite, probably all selected from the San Gabriel riverbed, neatly cut and dressed in the patterns, and the joints, mortar joints themselves dressed up with a little beading just to give it that finishing touch. And again, this would have been a wonderful place to be in the afternoon with a breeze.
With a view?
With a view, have your high tea out here.
And what would the view have been?
Probably just one long expanse of orange trees in the immediate foreground, and then off in the distance would be the San Gabriel River. You know, in those days it sort of meandered wherever it wanted to. And then in the far distance you could probably see the Pointy Hills quite easily.
Great.
Great place to be. Nice built-in buffet, original installation, and as you can see, the doorway, the cupboard doors open into the kitchen on the back side. which made it very handy. If you were serving, you could have your servant, and of course they did have servants, place the serving dishes on the buffet and then serve from there. And then later, after the meal was completed and the family moved into maybe the drawing room afterwards, we would then clear the table, place them there, take care of everything, washing them up in the kitchen, and then back they went from that side. So it was practical.
Very handy.
Very handy.
They should do that today. Except we have no servants.
No servants.
Oh, well.
Open the swinging door for you, and we can enter into what was probably originally a pantry. I'm guessing that, but this small window would be just the right height for a pantry window. So probably you came into a butler's pantry and then into the kitchen itself. And the area back here looks like it might have been a breakfast nook. These art areas have all been made part of the large kitchen now, but I would guess that originally there was a separate butler's pantry and a little breakfast nook. Nice big kitchen though. Even before adding these other spaces, it was a good-sized kitchen.
This, of course, is a brand new
kitchen.
stove, but I wonder if this is part of the original.
It's old. I know 5 years ago when I was here visiting and the Staffords were living here, that Mrs. Stafford pointed out that this was an old piece of wood, and I wish I could tell you now what its original purpose was. It was used for something else, and she saw it and said that'll make a great countertop, and so she had it incorporated into their kitchen when they redid this kitchen. Again, beautiful view out the windows. I mean,
Beautiful.
not that anybody ever enjoes doing dishes, but hey, it wouldn't
If you
hurt.
have to do dishes, that's a great
That's
view.
the kind of backdrop to have, right?
These fixtures in here, I wonder if they're original.
If not original to the house, they're sure original to the period. That looks like a 1900s fixture with that chain work and the crossbar and everything. That may have been somewhere else in the house, and they liked it so much they decided to show it off here in the kitchen.
Cute.
Yeah. Come on, Mary, why don't you've heard of upstairs, downstairs. Well, this is backstairs. This is the servants' part of the house. This is the first of 2 small bedrooms, and I'm sure that they were intended for servants. Big enough maybe for a bed and a dresser. Very small closet.
Very small.
Very small.
Narrow little door.
All right. But a window. I mean, there was some outside
Right.
ventilation. And it may be that the servants didn't live in. They may just have had this room as a place to retire to when they weren't performing their duties. There's another one that is right next to it, to the west. Let's go take a look at that. But Mary, let me point out to you the servants' stairway, the rear stairway. This is set up ideally so that the servants could move from the first floor to the second floor and not intrude on the family's privacy. This stairway goes up to the landing, and at that point it joins the main staircase. But for the first part of the trip, a servant could ascend up to the second floor, very quietly, and no one would know they were going about their appointed rounds.
I wondered why they had 2 stairways, because I said, well, they're both going to the same place.
Right.
But this is a little narrower.
They're a little
just
narrower.
like the little narrow servant's room.
Right. You know, it was strictly functional. It wasn't for any guests to use. And I'm sure the family used it maybe when they were in a hurry, or maybe when they were out at night a little too late and they wanted to get in quietly. If mother was in the parlor. But I'm sure the reason for it was so that servants could go upstairs, and if the family were entertaining, then they wouldn't be seen.
Well, let's go upstairs. and see
Okay.
what's-
Shall we do the servants, or shall we do the regular one?
Oh, well, maybe we should go up the regular stairway.
Okay. Main stairway, you can see it's wider and lighter, and it's got some decorative turnings here for a banister. Makes it very nice. Spindle effect. Beautiful woodwork. All refinished during the time the Staffords were here. Okay.
Yet another set of stairs. And what would these be? Bedrooms?
All the bedrooms, right? And there is a bathroom. The house did come with a bathroom from the very beginning. There are 4 good-sized bedrooms and a dressing room. Why don't we go into the master bedroom first?
Okay.
It's right to that way. Why don't you
All
go
right.
ahead?
Yes, this is a nice-sized master bedroom.
Right. With the fireplace, which is painted, I would guess maybe originally this was natural brick. Not tile like downstairs, but still nice. And good-sized metal. And of course, that same wonderful area in the corner turret. Of what the view would have been like, again, looking out towards the southeast. Beautiful view. Sea of greenery in front of you, and then the mountains and the river in the
And
background.
of course, all the groves.
All the groves.
And the lemon scent and the orange scent.
Right. heard somebody say that in Southern California, in the springtime around the turn of the century, it used to smell like a little bit of heaven. Orange blossoms, I mean, acre upon acre of orange blossoms. It must have been wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
So now, this is a nice little room. I like this little room, yes.
And it's got this interesting area back here with a sloping roof, sloping ceiling. And around the corner, you can't see it, but there's an access for a stovepipe, so you're going to have a little stove there, and a real comfortable little nook. And we've got his and her closets. Now I say his and her because I don't think that probably the Maddocks, Mr. and Mrs. Maddock, used this room. I'm sure that was a master bedroom. But here you have two actually quite shallow closets side by each.
This kind of reminds me of perhaps a children's room.
Maybe two girls shared the room and they couldn't agree on whose closet was which, or who got what part of the closet, so the answer was to give each of them a closet. But again, the built-in seat back there, very nice.
And this floor, you say that this floor was actually done after the fact.
This was done during the time the Staffers were here. This type of thing was very popular then.
The
painted floor. Another thing they did too, I don't know that they ever did it in this house, but you actually would have a painted floor cloth. It wasn't a carpet, it was a cloth, but it was painted with a design, and you put that down. And I guess, obviously, you have to periodically sweep it. But anyway, it was a way of decorating your floor space. But this is nice too. Somebody went to a lot of trouble to paint the nice border all the way around. Again, nice porch, outside porch with a great view up towards San Gabriel Canyon to the east. Again, great view of the mountains, San Gabriel Canyon off in the distance. Then, of course, this way you would have seen the groves and the river in the distance.
It almost feels like you're back in time in this house. If it weren't for all the new rooftops out there.
Right. Still feels like country.
It does. Yeah. It really does. Especially with that beautiful cactus down there. Okay, well, why don't we go down and out to the front garden? This is a beautiful space.
It is indeed. Nice pepper tree over there in the distance, and the orange tree, which can't be all that old, but still it gives you an idea of what it must have looked like when there were hundreds of those around the house. I think that's a redwood tree over there. What do you think?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Kind of nice.
Don't see too many of those in town.
Washington palm. And of course roses. Mrs. Maddock could not have been without her English rose garden. I don't know where, it might have been in this area. I don't think any of the old pictures we have show where the garden was, but I'm sure she had one. And then some nice avocado trees.
Beautiful.
And then off in the distance a nice gazebo.
Let's take a walk in
here. Let's go take a look. Watch your footing, Mary.
Yeah, we're stepping on all the avocados.
As we tiptoe through the avocados, you know, it's possible that this is a variety that was developed in Duarte called the bacon avocado.
Huh.
I don't know if it was ever popular commercially, but there are pictures about an avocado developed in Duarte named after the Bacon family who bought the eastern part of the
Maybe that's where they came up with the sandwich. Bacon, tomato, avocado. Little joke.
But these trees are bearing quite well, and they've been around for a while. They look they're probably 40, 50 years old. They may have even been planted when the Maddock family were still living here.
Great view of the house from here. This would have been a wonderful place where they probably had children's parties.
Right.
And entertained in the summer. Who knows?
Right. And then, of course, north of us, there are 8, count them, looks like 8 palm trees, and they're old ones. So I suspect that maybe there originally was a driveway along there leading into the house. Because the house originally, of course, looked south, and the grove would have been lined up so everything was oriented toward the south. But unless it was for a driveway, I don't know why else they would have planted those in a row right at that location.
Probably right.
Yeah.
There must be some, I wonder if there's any old pictures around that would show that.
I'll have to check at the museum. The Maddock family were very gracious about sharing what they had in their files, so we have lots of pictures.
And do you think this gazebo looks fairly new?
Probably within the last 10 years, I would say. I think this is, again, one of the things that the Staffords did at the time they were living here. Nice gazebo.
Very nice. Okay.
And a pepper tree that's probably at least as old as the house is. That is an old-timer.
I can see kids climbing up on those branches.
Right.
Must have been fun.